So I'm here at Mildenhall. We got here at about 11 o'clock this morning. We have allocated time slots for scrutineering, so mine was 12, so quite a long day. Scrutineered, all fine. The car's locked up over here in Park Ferme, so after scrutineering here, put them all out in a big row on the field, and it's a closed off area, nobody can touch the cars. The 4 overseas drivers, we've got time trials at 4 PM. That will determine our grids, and then from there we go straight back Park Ferme, so we're not allowed to make any adjustments on the cars. All we can do is just top them up with fuel, and that's about it. If we get a flat tyre or something, we're allowed to fix it, but no setup adjustments or anything like that. So yeah, like I think it's about 3 o'clock now, been here since 11, time trials at 4, 5 hours waiting around, but we're looking like it should be a good day.
So speaking out setup, earlier on the week we went back to Matt's and Andy's and did the setup on the car. Have you set up the car similar to back at home?
Similar, I guess, if you headed down the middle car at home, like crossweights and that is probably similar here. It's hard to adjust the stagger because of controlled tyres here, so kind of measuring up all the tyres we had, but there's not a lot we could do with stagger. The rest of the suspension on the car, these ones I think I've covered off a leaf spring, so can't really adjust the actual mounting of the suspension as such like we would at home, but I guess the basics of it are similar, yeah.
So we talk about the control tyres as well. I see some up behind you there. That right rear tyre is the one, if you want to point that out, the one that you're allowed to run. It doesn't look like much of a tyre, but you had comments about that after the first run in the car?
Yeah, I was a little bit worried at Bradford with it being a bit wet. You look at this tyre and think, really, how's that going to hang on? I know how slippery it is in the F1s when it's wet, and I just thought, man, with that little tyre, going to skate all over the track. But it was actually quite impressive how well it did bite in. I think it was quite a cool thing for this class to have the controlled tyre even out the playing field, you know, and I guess keep the cost down. You know, it's just a run-of-the-mill car tyre, I think 60 or 80 quid or something, so 130, something like that at home. You know, cheap tyre for racing.
So similar to Supercat, really. So you've driven stock cars, you've driven super stocks, you've driven F1s, you've driven V8s. Now it's pretty much, can you liken any of the classes to each other?
I guess V8s are quite similar to stock cars at home, like the driving style. Like, you know, they don't have huge amounts of power, and the field's reasonably even. Obviously with the back wheels being covered in, the driving style's a little bit more similar to home, whereas when you go to F1s, I'd more liken that to driving, I don't know, like a modified or some sort of open wheel class at home. You just really have to protect the wheels. The only contact you can do is front to back. I don't know, maybe I've seen a few saloon cars have a bit of contact like this over home. But the F1's completely different. V8's are probably a little bit like New Zealand stock cars 10 years ago.
So it's almost like, yeah, super saloon drivers can come over here and run the F1s probably better than our super stock drivers, potentially, in the long run. Last of all, is there any ideas or anything from the UK cars that you think you'd take home and apply to any of your New Zealand cars if you went to order, say, another car from Rees Racecars?
Not so much, to be honest. The suspension here is completely different to home. I think we're a lot more advanced at home, given that over here they're really restricted. At home, our engines are restricted, but our suspension isn't, so we're a lot more advanced. But like hanging around any body of race cars, you always find little tricks. You know, Frank's taught me a few little things that I perhaps hadn't thought of at home, and also sometimes at home we're so caught up in like these flare shocks and suspension that you forget some of the basics a little bit. So last year, especially when I was here, it did make me rethink a few things which I tried at home and seemed to work for me. But as far as technology goes, you know, New Zealand's a long way ahead, so it is hard to say we're going to take something home from here.
Alright, hey again everyone. Just realised I was editing up this video. I'm just down in London at a mate's place. It's actually a beautiful day here in London. You can see how blue the sky is. Mitch has shot up to Wayneman's with Meg and Derek. I've spent a couple of days here doing some sightseeing, but yeah, like I said, I was editing up the video and all of a sudden realised there's not really much to wrap up what happened on the end of the world final night. So obviously apologies, I've got some nail marks on my arm from where Meg was hanging on to me. Yeah, she was pretty nervous about what was happening when Mitch was battling with Thomas for the lead. Pretty exciting stuff being on the other side of the world in a world final, watching someone do that. But unlucky with the damage of the front axle. They're cast iron axles. They cut and weld them. Yeah, very different to the way we do things in New Zealand. But anyway, the rest of the night we spent a lot of time fixing the damage on that car. Didn't make it out. How they run the meetings essentially are a little bit different to New Zealand. So after the world final, they have a heat race, then they have the final, then they have a grand national. So we didn't make it out for the heat race. The damage was a bit too much. Massive thanks to Paul Ehrlich, he jumped in again. Obviously Andy Matt Barnard, Derek, myself, even Nate, my mate here, he jumped on the tools and got that car turned around. It was a bit of a major to change that front axle, but we got it done. Got him out for the final. He then got into the lead of that, led actually the second half of that race. I got no footage of that, sorry. We were pretty excited the way, I mean, Mitch showing really good pace in that V8 Hotstock. Asher unfortunately had some more damage, and Bex as well. The car's just not suiting the style of driving, I guess, not holding together as much as the Kiwi drivers are used to in comparison. But yeah, Mitch made it final. He actually got spun with 2 laps remaining by one of the other guys, with a couple laps to go. Unfortunately missing out on that, caused a bit of damage on the way through with that incident, and then we managed to get the car just fixed enough to make it out for the Grand National, and the gate got shut on him. So unfortunately, yeah, didn't make it out at the conclusion of the meeting. So a couple of did not starts and a couple of DNFs, but yeah, otherwise really good. And we'll catch you guys this weekend for the grand final. Sorry, not the grand final, the world final will be the F1 stocks. Yeah, looking really forward to that, and seeing what Mitch can do in mixed orders car. So like I got this from my Maxwell as well, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and promise to bring you guys some more stuff when we get back to New Zealand as well. Already in talks a little bit with Charlie Swarter about he's potentially wanting to do this for his trip. So yeah, keep an eye on the channel, make sure you subscribe, don't miss out on any videos, and see you this weekend at the F1 World Final in Northampton.